Alright, gang, it's Suraj from Final Say here. I've got Wonda with us today.
Big up, Suraj.
What's going on, Wonda? Basically, we're going to do our little Q&A series, and obviously Wonda is an Arsenal fan, so today's Q&A with an Arsenal fan.
Come on.
Wonda, so with United, we've had, like, for us, in terms of iconic shirt or iconic shirt numbers, we've had obviously number 7, I think, legendary, known throughout the world. Obviously, you've got the big boys from your back in the day, your Styles and your Best, but obviously modern day Beckham, Cantona, Ronaldo. But for me, I guess on a personal level, I would say number 11, because I was born on 11th of May. I guess I held a little bit of kind of respect for the number. Obviously, Giggs held down that number for couple of decades still, so it was synonymous with me. Number 11 was just like, there's always Giggs, and obviously recently it was Martial for a bit, switched from 9 back to 9 again, so it's actually, I think, Bacon at the moment, so maybe a man like Sancho, or maybe he wants 7 shirt. I don't know. But for you, Wonder, from an Arsenal perspective, it doesn't necessarily have to be an iconic number, but what number sort of resonates with you from the Arsenal line?
I think you're going to know my number. I'm just going to give credits to number 7 and number 11, yeah, because obviously 7's a God number, 11 is my number as well. So I agree with you. That's my birth date number, so I mess with that number. But when we're speaking for Arsenal, number 14, bro. Like,
big
reason being, it's not even a squad number like that. Like, when I say squad number, it's not your first 11 numbers, yeah? And he's taken that and made it into something. If you put on the number 14 now, you know that you're repping Henry and you have to do it properly. Walcott, he let me down. Sorry, he let me down. But now we got Aubameyang, and Aubameyang looks like he fits that lineage. You know what I mean?
Big boy striker. Yeah, definitely. I can appreciate that. Okay, so I'd say something that Man United and Arsenal share. Quite a few clubs would share this, but I feel like we share this little bit of this common theme sometimes. And that's we've sold some incredible players on to other teams. What player that you've sort of let go prematurely or forced away out of the club or decided to go on to, pastures new, which player do you miss the most, or means a lot? For me, it's a strange one, because I don't actually talk about this player much in terms of, when I've spoke about United, I speak about Ole, who's my idol, and obviously we've got the legends and stuff, but David Beckham was one that really it kind of cut deep, I think, with that one. I loved him so much at the time, and then when the whole thing happened and the way it went about and the sort of the bickering and all the little things, and then there was stuff about his wife, maybe like putting pressure, saying let's go to Madrid potentially, and then he left for Madrid. So for me, David Beckham is that one player that it kind of hurt real bad. Like when he left us, when Ronaldo left, he left with a lot of love. Like we did, there was no bad blood or anything like that. I think with Beckham, I felt like betrayed to some extent. So there was a long time period for me where I didn't even mention like David Beckham, didn't really think about him, just tried to didn't even recognize him as once he'd gone to Madrid and onwards. Then I went to a tribute match actually. Yeah,
I'm back. Sorry about that. The phone cut out.
Oh, no worries. So I went to a tribute match, and I think it's Man United versus European 11, and Beckham was there, and I think at half-time, basically, it was really like heartfelt, almost an apology. I think he felt the warmth of the crowd, everyone cheering for him, and he almost said like his best days were here, and he was like tearing up a little bit almost. So I think then I kind of accepted it a little bit more, and I was like, all right, fair enough, it happened. But for me, it was David Beckham, basically, that player that went in such a way. I felt like he could give him much, a few more years to us, and I really missed him. And I think that's why I had so much dislike for the whole scenario. So for yourself, is there any particular player you really missed that left Arsenal, maybe prematurely? And
it's not premature though. Like, he had a decent career with us, and he went on to do more in football. So I can't really say, I'm upset about that, but I'm upset that we haven't managed to replace somebody of that mold. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So my person is Patrick Vieira. since he's left the club, he's almost he and likewise with a Roy Keane, they're the archetype of what a DM is or what a central mid would be like. And most people try to find another Patrick Vieira, i.e. your Yaya Torres, your Makalelis, your Essians. Like they try to find that mold to be in there, but it's not Vieira. Do you get what I'm saying? And Arsenal, we haven't done anything better than that. I give credit to Gilberto Silva. He was a great player, but he was not Vieira. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, fair enough. Awesome. All right. We talk about sort of the players that have gone past. We spoke about Vieira, for me, Beckham. These are players from back in the day. Kind of looking forward now at the up-and-coming talent you have. Is there any kind of like players that you got your eye on, maybe in the first team or maybe they're not quite there yet? For me, obviously, I think there's, you got people like Scott McTominay, who's up and coming. I think he's the one that's underrated, as in keep an eye on him in terms of what he's going to be able to bring. But a player that I think they may be up and coming, and maybe we'll see him next season, is Hannibal Mejbri. So I've never really spoken about this player, but he's a centre mid player that was bought from Monaco for about 9 million. So that's a lot of money to be paying for a youngster. I think he was either 16 or 17 at the time. 16 years old, sorry, at the time. And he's now 17 years old for us. But he's actually one I'm going to keep my eye on. So we've got a good set of players coming up. We've got some good youngsters in the team at the moment. But actually one that I want to keep an eye on and hopefully we see him blossom next season would be Mejbri. So Hannibal Mejbri. Good luck to you in the future and hopefully we see you next season. A little bit of you at least.
Yeah, big him up still. Big him up.
Wonda.
All right, for me, bro, like, our quartet, our youngers, they're great right now, bro. Like I've kind of got to give a mention to all of them. So shout out to Reece Nelson, shout out to Eddie Nketiah, shout out to Martinelli, my guy, shout out to Saka. Do you get what I'm saying?
Big fan of Saka and Martinelli.
I'm not really a Willock fan, but shout out to Willock as well. Like he done his thing the other day. Arsenal, he got 1 goal and Nketiah got 3, got a hat trick. So shout out to the man them, but for me, the main two has to be Martinelli and Saka, bruv. Like, them two down the wing are cold. Like, going back defensively together, they just work so well. Tandemly, it's beautiful, bruv.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Obviously, we've covered that in the final say. They're two players that we're keen to keep an eye on. Very exciting types of talent. I think that's another thing that we share in Arsenal Man United, I think, is a tendency of us having this great faith in our youth, and also I think we do tend to bring quite exciting talents to the table. I definitely recognise your youth system. It's a strange one actually, Wonda, but we didn't really talk about it in our last podcast. But I don't know if you've been privy to the news of the youth system in Arsenal being cut. So you had the youngsters cut last week. And I foresee apparently. In the media, they're talking about some cuts to the senior scouting system. So I don't know if you're aware of this actually, but they've made some cuts to the current scouting system of Arsenal. So considering the great wealth of talent you've had and people that have found Saka and then now have actually been cut from the club. So I'm not sure how the club is going to proceed in terms of youth talent, but do you think this is going to be potentially an issue?
It could potentially be an issue, but if anything, is undeniable. It's going to be a change in it. You can adapt to it. I'm okay with it. Like, there's always like, the ins and the outs and stuff like that. Things might have happened behind the scene that we don't know about. Like, if this is how they're going to move forward, I just hope so. It's righteously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's in response to obviously the financial pressures of what's happened recently. So I think it's probably in response to that. But I hope. For football and Arsenal's sake as well, that it isn't detrimental to the development of or the scouting of such talent, because I think there's one thing that Arsenal's really well known about, and that would be definitely the way you implement your youth and the way that you've always got a sort of abundance of that kind of talent, just whether they can make it the grade at the highest levels or not. But I personally hope that's not going to be sort of an issue. Wanda, thanks for joining us today. That was awesome, just to get a bit of insight into the Arsenal man then. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining the Final Say. Just like and subscribe, and we'll see you for another Q&A with another supporter. Thank you.
Peace and love, respect.
Yes, brother.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning into our video. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please click the like button. And if you want to watch more video content like this, you can click the subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification bell, which will basically give you all the latest videos when they're uploaded. If you want to listen to the full episode and you don't want to see our ugly faces, you can listen to the full episode on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thanks.